in the union.
On mute.
Muted, Marianne.
Yes, I just switched recording on now. Let's see if I can live feed, or we gotta start this all over. Live stream to YouTube. Why doesn't it give me a live stream to Facebook? Nope, it's not gonna let me do it. Let's switch back.
There you go. All right, so the three of us are here to have a little fun today, right? So we've been getting some messages from a group of teachers who, I guess after the latest UFT town hall that they held, was it yesterday? Or
The 9th.
The 9th? Okay, so 9, 10, 2 days ago. They're starting to stress out and wanting to withdraw completely from city and health benefits. We're going to urge you to wait. Please do not send in those forms to disenroll from the city's health plans at this time. Let's wait for the judge's decision. And when we watched part of this video that the UFT put out the other day, we kind of understand why some of you are freaking out. So we wanted to have a little fun with it. And the unions keep saying, the city keeps saying that the retirees are the source of misinformation. So we wanted to let you know, we know that's not true. And we know that they are the source of the misinformation. And just play along with us, because I think you'll probably enjoy this just as much as we are. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen into this recording, if it'll let me do that. All these things we have to worry about. Share screen. I'm guessing it's this one. Share. Do you see Tom Murphy's head?
Yes. It's like the
Okay.
floating head.
Okay, so this is going to be debunk the union's misinformation because it's not coming from us. You ready? You ready, Madeline? Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Oh, wait a second. You got to let me know if you can't hear him when I click play.
I can't hear him.
You don't hear him? Okay, hold on. That means there's another setting. Pause. Share sound. Okay.
And congratulations to Tina Puccio, who really figured out a lot of things that we had never thought we had to deal with before. And she was the first one to tell me we can't take care of the kids of the city if we can't take care of ourselves first. And she knew what the pandemic, as we were running around trying to get the schools closed, Tina was the one who was focused on making sure that we not only had a high quality member assistance program, but she knew it was going to have to grow immensely in a very short period of time. And she was going to have to learn all sorts of new ways of deploying her staff and creative ways of helping and supporting people. And that is well deserving, that award, because you met every single one of those challenges. So thank you, Tina. And to all the veterans also, you know, it's Veterans Week. That's what we like to call it. And I just, our hats and our hearts always go out to all of our veterans. So Tom, now we're moving forward. into the questions. I really want to start dealing with, people keep asking me for updates on the court case, and that seems to be the number one question that I have from this chapter. And right now, it's once again, as we're dealing with the city administration, the MLC's papers, when the judge ruled that the process was done correctly, that the program was a good program, but
the judge didn't say that. The judge said that the process was okay, right? But he didn't say the plan was a good plan.
No.
So, sorry. That's wrong. But it is correct to say that the judge ruled against Aetna's claim that there were some issues with the procurement process. Whether or not they'll appeal that yet, I really don't know. But the judge definitely didn't say it was a good plan. Okay, let's continue.
the information needed to be, needed more time to be out there. He was correct. And so the MLC had their papers ready to go. The Alliance, the group that won the bid, had their papers ready to go. The only holdup has been, I know you're all shocked to hear this, the city of New York. But we believe they might have filed them today, but they're supposed to be filing them by the end of the week. And then we'll see what the judge does for an allotment of time for more information to go out there, which I think is great because we get more time.
Well, let's just stop it there for 1 second. I can't hit the buzzer because he's right, but he's been saying in his previous videos that this wasn't true and that the deadline is, there's no deadline extension, and it's BS, right?
I can't with him.
Yeah. And then he's happy that they have more time. I know he's probably having a panic attack.
And the more information people have, the better off we think people are going to be in terms of making their decisions. I've said this already publicly a couple of times, and I'm going to continue to say it because I believe it. A year from now, everybody's going to be real happy. And some of the folks who opted out, and I understand why, are going to be looking for someone to be angry at. And they should look more, it was more about, having to do all of this in the middle of a pandemic on top of everything else. And change is always.
Okay, who are they going to blame for this?
Him.
Yeah. Okay.
Not us. Not really. Him.
And this poor rollout has nothing to do with the pandemic.
No, because they were trying to jam this down our throats in July.
Right. It's after the pandemic. Yes, it's still going on, but the height of the pandemic happened in 2020.
But he still could have figured out another way to fix this thing instead of this. There were the MLC could have, and the UFT and the DC 37 and all of them and the city could have come up with other ways to save money. They didn't have to do this plan because in their own agreement in 2014, they talked about 7 or 8 different methods that they could have looked into, but they weren't limited to those. This is the one that they sunk their teeth in, right? Yeah, we're there. Yeah, well, I bet you in a year's time, we'll be going, we're still upset with you. You want me to continue? All right, we'll continue.
Tough, and I get that. But what is being done right now is absolutely the right decisions in terms.
The right decision for who? Not for the retirees.
Amen, sister. Is the right thing for the union, not the retirees. Good.
And it's not even for the city. Sorry,
Nope.
It's not even the right thing for the city.
No,
Because
it's not.
They're not saving money. They're redirecting it to that stabilization fund. And why does it need to be redirected to the stabilization fund?
Because the unions are taking money from the stabilization fund.
And not for health insurance purposes.
Not entirely. They don't, they'll say that that the money goes in there for the welfare fund, but they're not telling you that they are taking money out of that fund to fund other things. And the UFT specifically has,
Bless you.
the UFT has specifically denied that that is the case, but it's been well reported, published, that the UFT has had, every union, actually, the unions have taken money from that fund. And even the agreements specifically state that after a certain amount of money that is raised in that account or saved and that is in that account, that the unions can pull that money out. In I think it was a 2018 agreement, it says that.
Did I hear the word oversight anywhere? No, I didn't. Oh. Huh.
No, I'm still waiting for the CBC to come up with something on that, because they did send a letter to John Liu back in, oh, I don't know, what year was it? 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, somewhere in there. They sent a letter to John Liu about that. And I don't even know if there was a reply, because it's not on their website. All right, shall we continue? Okay.
Our retiree healthcare plan, not just for all of you, but for all of us who are aspiring to be inside of it. Because
I don't know anyone who aspires to get old and
And
go
be in a
into
MAP
their-
plan.
and go into their golden years.
I want to retire from being a teacher and be in a Medicare Advantage plan. Says nobody.
that is really what we're doing at this moment. We are taking care of everyone who's there, but also making sure that we're taking care of everyone who is going to be there one day, hopefully. And that's really what the union is about. I was just finished a meeting with our ed officers and ed analysts, and they were asking about why would the teachers support us to do remote work? These are people who do office work in the DOE offices. And I said, because that's what the UFT does. They've always done it, just as people helped us get class sizes, and now we're fighting for that again. And just like we took a contract extension and got paid parental leave for everyone, that's always looking towards the future, making sure that we're taking care of people right now and always looking at the future. And that's the process we've been going through. And we're forming our in-service healthcare committee. Just as we first formed the retiree healthcare committee, we now are forming our in-service healthcare committee because our plan is up this year. And as I've told you from the beginning, the healthcare is the biggest problem that we're facing economically. And, we're going to keep fighting with everyone that we keep the benefits we have and try to avoid what we know is the biggest trap for workers, which is healthcare premiums. And the healthcare premiums have been what has been used across this country to really erode people's ability to sustain their life.
Well, so that's an interesting point. Healthcare premiums are preventing people from sustaining their life, right? And he agreed to a plan with the MLC and the rest of the unions, 102 of them allegedly, to install a premium of $191.57, plus if you're in the hospitalization plan, $2.83 every month on people who are also of low income. DC 37's average pension, I believe they said it was about $15,000 a year.
Yeah.
So at $400 a month-ish in some of these people, as was testified to yesterday at that hearing, really, how can people afford that? And why would that be okay with you? If he finds that putting premiums is detrimental to a retiree's livelihood, you just did it to us.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, okay.
Moving on.
And to sustain the way they want to treat their families. And this is something that, thankfully, it's not just us. It's the majority of the unions in the MLC. We all understand this very strategically. And we've driven two mayors crazy about it. And I'm sure we're going to about to drive another mayor crazy. But you know, I mean, the union drove Giuliani, but I wasn't in those negotiations. But Bloomberg tried it, and De Blasio's tried it, and I'm hoping that the next one doesn't. But that's still going to be the fight that we're.
I have something to say. What is it that de Blasio tried that hasn't been granted? Because this seems to me as
You have been granted.
exactly. Okay, sorry. And back when Bloomberg tried it, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Who was
Agree
it
to
that,
it.
who was it that filed a lawsuit against it?
2013, because of the
Hmm.
2013, the MLC sued the city of New York for trying to implement changes in the healthcare. And they were required to stop and negotiate with them because they were accused of doing it unilaterally without any input, kind of like how they're doing to us.
Hmm.
Ooh,
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
You notice we keep catching him with his mouth going. Okay, you ready? Okay, here we go.
We're doing. So right now, it's really about getting more and more of the information out. And again, I hope most of the
Ooh, misinformation out. It's about getting misinformation out, right? Okay, I'll continue.
stuff has been made clear. I know Jeff Sorkin's been really on top of this in terms of what we're doing with the Alliance. I spoke to the CEO of the Alliance, both of the CEOs today, getting all of the updates that we need. They continue to just get more and more people inside of the program. And they keep saying, again, we should never, they're like, we use the word in network, and we now understand that most people think in network means it's okay to go, and out of network means it's not okay to go. And I said, yeah, but that's not what we designed. And you're the one using those words, and we were guilty because that was on what you were describing, but that's not what it is. And
My buzzer buzzed. Really? Hold it for it. How many times did you see the words in network and out of network in the EOC?
It's
lot.
pervasive. It's pervasive. It's pervasive through the webinars. It's pervasive through the EOC.
There is an in network. There is an out of network.
Yeah.
And there definitely is an out of pocket.
Right, but they say it's okay. It doesn't matter.
We'll get to that. That's coming. Okay, I'll go back.
so I specifically wanted the example. I can't remember, but one of you wrote me a phenomenal letter about the South Miami healthcare facility, which a lot of our members go into, and said they're not in the network. So I looked it up quickly on the same website you do. It's not there, but I also know that it's an Empire, Blue Cross, Blue Shield Empire Medicaid Center.
Ah,
Oh,
Medicaid or Medicare?
I don't like my buzzer. Okay, that's the first time he's said Medicaid, but he is not the first union leader that keeps interchanging the words Medicaid and Medicare. And I am sure everyone knows there is a very big difference between Medicaid and Medicare. Okay. Okay, I'll go back.
So that, of course, what do? I call right away. I said, what is this? They're like, well, technically, anyone can go into any of these facilities, and they're not going to be turned away, and everything's going to be fine. It's just illegal.
That's the law.
They can't turn you away if it's an emergency, but just because you walk into a medical facility and it happens to be a hospital, if you don't have an emergency, they don't have to treat you.
Right.
And they don't have to take this plan. They may treat you, but not take the plan because it is a Medicare Advantage plan. Even if they are Medicare accepting, you don't have to accept an MAP, period. Did I miss anything? No? I got all the points? Okay, we'll continue.
legally, it's still not technically there, and we have to have these sharing agreements of certain information, but they're absolutely covered. I said, everybody who accepts Medicare, unless a doctor chooses not to, and I want to be clear about this, doctors choose to go to concierge services these days. If people choose to get rid of the Medicaid world, that's a different.
You're
It's
too
not
slow
the-
with that buzzer.
It's a delayed buzz. I don't like it. Yeah, no, it doesn't have anything to do with concierge services. It doesn't have anything to do with not taking, because you're a concierge plan, to not take Medicare. It's that they don't have to accept Medicare Advantage plans, period. This becomes the issue between in-network, out-of-network. And what they're basically doing is we've been dubbing this the house of cards. You have Anthem. The Anthem's the mothership, right? And then you have the mothership, right? And then you have all of these blue, Empire Blue subsidiaries all over the country, right? You've got to find which subsidiary that facility falls under. But it still doesn't mean they're going to take a map.
I wonder if he'll share the CEO's phone number with us so that we can get an answer, a straight answer, well, an answer anyway, immediately like he does.
Yeah. We could ask at the end. Well, hey, Michael, could you give us the CEOs of the Alliance's phone number? Because we would love to talk to them too. Because we have over 10,000 people in our Facebook page that have a million questions that can't get straight answers, not just from the UFT, but not from OLR, and sure as hell not from the 833 number. And guess what? This affects us, not you. So retirees at nycretirees.org is our email. Michelle will get it because she's our secretary, and she'll pass it along, and we could do a conference call, and would love to have that. Thank you. Okay, next.
Different issue. But the big piece here is the more information we're getting out there, we're hoping that we're seeing people understanding that, okay, what we're telling them is absolutely what's happening. But more importantly, I know a year from now, that's when most people will look back on this and say, seems to have been everything we thought it was going to be. And this
My buzzer
Is
is,
anyone having difficulty following his
I need a new buzzer.
train of thought?
Delayed reaction. Oh my God. It's everything. It's everything I thought it
You're
would be.
telling them is absolutely what's happening. Okay.
Yep, no. And actually, this is the very first time I think he even mentions the lawsuit and the judge without misrepresenting that the opt-out date was extended and there wasn't a deadline, because the last one they kept saying, even their October newsletter said it expired October 31st. They still weren't updating this timely. Not even on their website were they updating it timely. Okay.
this is right, and it was the right thing to do, because again, these fights on healthcare, and they're about to get very vicious, especially with the hospitals. They're about to get very vicious. The fights for healthcare are really one of the most important pieces now for the workers and the retirees in the United States. So, Tom, what do you want to take some questions, or do you want to go to Jeff?
We're not doing questions in chat right now, but I think we're going to go to Jeff, and then Vince is going to get on from the Healthcare Committee and go through our websites and the ways of how we can find out information by the links that we have there.
All right.
Okay.
No
so
questions.
We're ready. Patricia, we're ready for Jeff Sorkin.
Steve?
Having a little difficulty. Give me a second, guys. I need to fix this. Why don't we go to the next one and I'll have this.
Yeah, I'll go to Vince.
Yeah, why don't we go to Vince and come back to Jeff then? Vince.
Good evening, everybody. Oh, Pat has started it. Okay, Pat, go ahead. Good evening, everybody. The PowerPoint that I'm going to show you right now is a very short, simple primer on how to look for information about the New York City Medicare Advantage Plus plan. Most of you probably have already done what I'm going to describe, but there's probably always a few among us who are new to this experience, and it's worthwhile showing them how to do it. There are two websites on which to find information about the new plan. One is the New York City Office of Labor Relations website. The other is a dedicated page on the UFT website. So let's look how to do it. Of course, we presume that your computer is on and that you're open to one of your search engines, maybe Google, maybe Bing, whatever search engine that you use. You should type in the web address bar the following statement in order to get to the New York City Office of Labor Relations website. You type in NYC OLR retiree responsibilities. And when you hit the enter, you should wind up to the next page I'm going to show you. What comes up when you hit that enter should be a whole list of all kinds of websites. And you should be looking for the one that says Health-Retiree Responsibilities-New York City. If you hit that link, you will get onto the web page for the New York City Office of Labor Relations. This is what the web page looks like when you get to it. You'll notice that retiree is highlighted on the blue bar at the top of the page. And you will also notice that it says HBP New York City Health Benefits Program. When you get to that page, on the right-hand side, you'll see the strip for scrolling through the page. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do. You should slowly scroll down the page.
Excuse me.
The first thing you're going to
you want me to
see
stop? Hold on.
is a description.
Go ahead.
Explain something to me. This was a Zoom meeting, correct?
Yeah.
So the assumption is that the people who are watching the Zoom meeting have a computer and are able to get into a Zoom meeting. And yet he's speaking to them as if they don't know how to use a computer and need help doing some very basic things, but they expected them to know how to get into Zoom to see this.
Right.
Am I? Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Wow.
It gets better.
I
So,
didn't see this part.
and the audience for this these are educators, retired educators. Good point.
Description about the New York City Medicare Advantage Plus plan beginning January 1, 2022. And the highlighted notation The opt-out period has been extended until further notice.
Yay.
If you continue scrolling, you're going to find a lot of links to some of kinds of information that you're probably looking for.
Technical.
And as we scroll down the page, you'll see what some of the links
Oh, you're
are.
listening to us.
It's not us, correct?
No, it is them. This is happening them. I think Vince had
Medical benefits and rate charts, plan design comparison charts, evidence of coverage. That's newly put on the website at OLR. It's a document that a lot of people have been asking for because it explains and defines all your rights and responsibilities as a member of the new plan.
What a
Well,
concept.
it also describes, it's not our rights and responsibilities, it's actually our rights and the responsibilities of the contractors to provide to us. It also talked about some of the responsibilities that the city and the contractors had amongst each other. But what a concept is sharing a contract with people.
Mhm.
The other place that you can go for information about the new plan is to type into the web address bar uft.org/retirees.
/
And when you do, you will open up another set of links to a lot of information about the new plan. This is what the Retired Teachers Chapter page looks like when you open it up. This is the page, again on the right-hand side, through which you can scroll to find all kinds of information. Just above Tom Murphy's pate, you will find a box that says information on the new New York City Medicare Advantage Plus plan. And in the green box, it says view the latest updates. You're going to want to click on view the latest updates. And when you do, you'll open up to the next page. This page has in it as much information as we have been able to pack together so that you can explore as many issues as possible. And as you scroll through the page, you're going to see a lot of different pieces of information. You should take a careful and slow review of the entire page because it does include recordings that were made of the various webinars that we conducted regarding the Medicare Advantage Plus plan. In addition, we even have some written documentation based upon those webinars that was provided by Kim Parker from Emblem, who conducted the webinars. Every one of those blue notations is essentially a link to either a document or even a recording about the new plan, which you will probably want to either read or review. Please note that.
So
What's
you'll
that?
be able, I only caught a glimpse of that last page, but it said Hospital of Special Surgeries has signed on. So you can
Right.
actually use their own link, their own page, to look back at the webinars from August and September where they said that Memorial Sloan Kettering was in network, and yet they didn't sign on until what point in October?
I went back there and looked, and I'd have to really go back again and look again. But before I watched this, and then I called both of you, I did not find an extensive list of video. What I did find were Q&As, were a couple Q&As, and I think maybe 2 videos. I did not find them all.
Okay.
So if they are somewhere, I did not see that, I will go look again. But I did not find a treasure trove of video.
Okay.
I did find a Q&A. It was a questions and answers from a webinar, but I did not find, and I think I found an October webinar like this. That was a video like this, but I did not find much else. I did not find a Kim Parker video because I was looking for those. I mean, we've recorded them when we've seen them, but I didn't see them on his page.
Okay.
That whatever we put up usually has with it the date on which it was posted. That's an important piece of information you should have. Further down on the page, we have highlighted the 2022 evidence of coverage for the Medicare Advantage.
Which note is a 212-page document. It is not the 312-page or 316-page document. Note the page count on this.
What does it say?
Right here, it says 1 of 212. It's not
Right,
the
that-
draft.
It's
Right.
not the draft contract, it's the evidence of coverage.
Right.
Right.
Plus plan. I urge you, please, to take a good look at it. It's something that a lot of our members were concerned about and were interested in. So, just to say it again, type in the web address bar NYCOLR Retiree Responsibilities, and you'll get to the Office of Labor Relations of New York City's Retiree Responsibilities website. Or type in the web address bar uft.org/retirees to get to the UFT dedicated website. I hope this was helpful, and good luck in your searches.
That was great for
So
people. who use
I understand.
computers.
What's that?
That was great for people who have a computer and are able to get onto the internet and who can see clearly enough what is on the computer, assuming they have a computer. But good.
And that we're ready for Jeff Sorkin. Vinny, I know that you had a couple of other things. Maybe you might want to come back afterwards. We'll see after
That's
we hear
fine.
the Jeff Sorkin. So Patricia, Steve, can we?
Do you notice he changed his shirt?
No. Who? Vinny?
Yeah. He was wearing a black and white shirt. When he was doing his speech, he was in like a reddish plaid shirt. Okay, just saying.
Roll with Jeff Sorkin, please.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff Sorkin. I'm the Executive Director of the UFT Welfare Fund, your welfare fund. As a health benefits administrator, I have a very interesting perspective on all of the changes that are being made right now. And I wanted to speak a little tonight to give you and share with you some of my insight. Before I begin a presentation, I just want to talk about what's been happening lately. Everybody is aware that initially, when the new New York City Medicare Advantage plan was announced, we talked about having an opt-out period that was to end on October 31st. We know recently a judge made a decision.
Actually,
Initially, it was October 15th.
it was October 15th.
Right.
They knew when they screwed the pooch on that one that they had to up it to October 30th when they 31st, and then they realized that that wasn't that. Well, we had to stop that.
judge said, wait a second, implementation could be a whole lot more orderly. Right now, we're waiting to see what's going to happen. I would recommend to everybody, please don't act hasty. The opt-out period has not ended. We need to find out more. And as soon as we do, we'll get that information to you. Okay? All that said, I wanted to share with you a certain presentation, a special presentation that I made just for you, our UFT retirees. Please bear with me as I share.
I can't. It's special.
Look at how smart he looks. I know. It gets oh so much better.
Share my screen.
Share my screen. Come on, Jeff.
Okay. I'm so excited.
Okay. When we talk about the New York City Medicare Advantage plan, I think it's very important that we actually do a little homework first and we look at health benefits as a whole. And I think one of the sources of concern, one of the things that's giving a lot of our members anxiety has to do with not understanding Medicare Advantage fully. And I wanted to touch on that a bit today. You see on your screen, what's the difference between a PPO and an HMO? And I think that this is pretty much at the heart of a lot of the questions and concerns that people are experiencing.
No, because if you're in HI senior care, you're not in an HMO. Medicare, our Medicare, federal Medicare is not an HMO.
Not once.
Where did this question come from?
I don't know.
They're trying to redirect things. They're trying to, obfuscate.
It's called gaslighting.
I don't know these new terms. Go ahead.
Today. And let's talk about that a little bit. Both are networks, but they're quite different. They're networks that provide access to doctors, specialists, and facilities, but both are very unique and very different. When we talk about a PPO, we talk about a network that's generally larger, right? It gives you more choice. PPO stands for Preferred Provider Organization. And what that means is there's usually a network of doctors. If you go to see one of those doctors, you have regularly scheduled co-payments, but you can go out of that network as well. You could actually see a doctor that's not part of it. You could seek reimbursement later on. It gives you a lot of choices. Now, no referrals are required. You can automatically just go see a specialist. There are no hurdles. An HMO is a little bit different. An HMO.
I'm sorry, is he leaving out one very important factor that the doctor you see has to accept Medicare? Did he neglect to mention that? Made it sound like you could see any doctor. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
A health maintenance organization actually is much more controlled. And HMOs are generally smaller. You have to go in network with the exception of emergency situations. You have to have a primary care physician in order to see a specialist. You need to get a referral. Generally, HMOs, one of the benefits of an HMO is that there may not be co-payments. If there are co-payments, they're very minimal. And I think this gets directly to the heart of what's happening with the New York City Medicare program. I want to remind everybody right now, and even when you were in service members, the most popular plan, again, whether you're in service or as a retiree now, is generally a GHI plan. The second most popular citywide is the HIP plan. And when we talk about this, we're talking about the difference between a PPO and an HMO. And let's get.
Well, and that's interesting that he's comparing GHI and HIP. Because of the 250,000 retirees, about 20,000 or so are HIP VIPs.
And not only that, isn't HIP a map? Also, it's HIP VIP is not a Medigap plan. HIP VIP is a Medicare Advantage plan. GHI, senior care, is a Medigap plan. Do I have that right?
I'm not 100% positive on that because I'm not in HIP.
I thought
Oh.
it was HMO.
Was an HMO,
Right.
but it is its own managed plan.
Correct.
So Medicare is your primary if you have HIP, and then HIP is your secondary to Medicare?
Right, but you could only see the HMO doctor, so you need referrals and you need, right, I'm not sure, right, so
Not
because
sure on
it's,
that one.
right, we'll have to,
Because I don't know anybody that's in the, I don't know anyone that's in the HIP plan.
right. We'll have
But I
to
mean,
put-
that's a really good question. Does it operate like a Medicare Medigap, or does it operate like a Medicare Advantage plan? But regardless, is that, and if it does operate that way, well, I bet you Madeline's right. It's got to operate like a Medicare Advantage plan.
Right,
Because it's
Right.
an HMO, meaning you need to use their physicians.
Yes, it is. It is.
I would tend
Right,
to think
which-
it's correct.
right, which would be more restrictive on an HMO level because you need a referral. It's not like, oh, you see in network, you need a referral. So you know,
Well,
it,
you can't just go see a doctor on your own. You have to have your PCP give you a referral to
Right.
see any other specialist. That would be a major difference.
Right.
Back in the day when that plan started, it was extremely restrictive. And I don't know how it has changed, but I remember since then, most of us, all of us that I'm aware of, what we worked together were in GHI. We saw the
Well-
chaos in those hip clinics. We did not want anything to do with that.
well, my dad was in a Blue Cross Blue Shield HMO when I remember, and with my mom when she was sick. And, you know, before she got diagnosed, and she had to get referrals. And she had to get referrals to get x-rays, and she had to get a referral to see, you know, with the MRI and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. So that was, and she had to go to the Blue Cross Blue Shield clinic, which was in Lake Success. And all the doctors were in one building, and every section was a particular doctor. So it was the PCP, and then it was, you know, this
That was a
doctor.
city plan though, right? Was that a city plan?
No, he worked for New York Newsday.
Oh,
So New York
that-
Newsday, right, but it was an HMO though. You know, but I knew, you know, that's how I know what the HMO,
yeah,
what
but
an HMO.
here, I don't
was.
understand why he's discussing the difference between an HMO and a PPO. What he really should be discussing is the difference between traditional Medicare and Medicare Advantage.
Right, but this is like the electric company. One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah. There you go.
Get to that. Now, Medicare Advantage certainly is an unfortunate term, and I'm going to warn everybody. If you're sitting around on a Saturday and you see an advertisement on a television show for a Medicare Advantage plan, it may be enough to scare you, okay? When Medicare Advantage plans became in effect back in 1997, Medicare Advantage plans were HMO plans. All right, let's go back to what the previous slide. Small, restrictive, gatekeepers. And if you're looking online and you Google Medicare Advantage, it's going to take you to things that pertain to small groups and individual Medicare Advantage programs. What I'm here to tell you is the New York City Medicare Advantage Plus plan is not one of those plans. It is based upon a PPO. Okay, so similar to what you have now, similar to what you had as in-service members. I think that's very important. It's a very striking difference, and everybody should be aware of that. Let's talk about the new plan a little bit. So the new plan is actually modeled and based on GHI Senior Care. I would imagine most of you right now have GHI Senior Care. GHI Senior Care is the most popular New York City Medicare plan at this moment. There are about 250,000 people in that plan. The second biggest plan is actually HIP VIP. And it has less than 10% of that number, about 25,000 people in it. So right now, most of you are in GHI Senior Care. And when we look to create this new plan, we really looked at that as that was the measuring stick. How do we replicate that program? And actually, how can we enhance this also? And the first thing that I want to tell you, I know a lot of you have some anxiety. You're reaching out to your doctors, you're reaching out to medical facilities, and you're asking about the New York City Medicare Advantage Plus plan, and if they're going to accept that coverage come January 1st. And perhaps they tell you, we've never heard of that before. No.
Excuse me. What is the reason why retirees were asking their doctors about the New York City Medicare Advantage Plus plan? Because that's what they were told. First, they were told the alliance. Okay, then this terminology. Why did it take them 2 to 2.5 months to come out with different terminology to ask your doctor?
It gets better because that comes up. You have to hear the new terminology that Michael Mulgrew tells you you should be asking and who you should be asking it when he comes back on.
Okay.
We haven't heard of it. We don't know what that plan is. Now, let me try and ease your concern a little bit, okay? That's what I try to do on a daily basis. The New York City Medicare Advantage plan is a brand new custom-built plan that provides access to any doctor or facility that takes Medicare. But it's not exactly new. And when I say it's not exactly new, here's what I need you to know. This plan was actually built on top of the Empire Medicare Blue National Network that presently exists.
Did you ever hear that before? It is built on top of the Empire Medicare of Blue National Network that presently exists.
Okay.
This was supposed to be an alliance between Empire, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and
Emblem.
Health. So when we kept saying that this is using a national network of empires, which are under the mothership of Anthem, we kind of hit that one.
Yeah, we did.
A nationwide Medicare network that many doctors and facilities take. They know it well. They've been part of that network for a long time. What we did was we took that plan, we added all of the doctors currently affiliated with GHI Senior Care, and then we try to enhance these benefits. So please, as you're reaching out to your doctor now, or you're reaching out to a prominent hospital, if they're unsure of this new plan, that perhaps they haven't heard of the name, and we are working on outreach right now, but perhaps ask them, are you affiliated with Empire Medicare Blue? You'll probably hear.
Did you ever hear that one? Ask them. Ask them if they're Empire Medicare Blue.
First I heard that was on the Teamsters webinar that was last week.
Right.
That's the first time I heard that terminology used.
Yeah, we're in November.
Exactly. I know. Oh, I know.
The
Here you go.
facade.
Now, one of the nice things about this plan is that it is PPO style, as I talked about before, right?
Style.
I keep hearing in-network versus out-of-network, and the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter whether a doctor or facility is in-network or out-of-network.
Okay, so why does it matter if they're in network or out of network? Because if they're in network, obviously you pay your copay and the MAP pays for all the bills, right? If they're out of network, you have two things to worry about. Will they bill the plan, right? If they bill the plan, you pay your copay, and then the doctor who's not in the network will bill the plan. And what we're being told is you won't have any co-insurance, meaning you won't have anything to pay after, correct? Then the second part of that is if they won't, if they're not in the network, they are out of network, OON, they are out of network, and they will not bill the MAP, we have been told you have to pay the doctor up front and that they will reimburse the physician, they will reimburse you at the Medicare Advantage rate, correct?
The Medicare allowable rate.
Medicare allowable rate. Thank you. You corrected me. Yes. The Medicare allowable rate, which means your co-insurance is the remaining 20% that Medicare does not pay. And that balance, we were told, does not, is not included in that $1,470 out-of-pocket maximum in this plan. That is in addition to that out-of-pocket. Did I say that correctly? Based on what we were told?
I feel that there's significant confusion on what is deemed the Medicare allowable rate.
We've had that conversation.
Yes. There is the fee schedule, the Medicare fee schedule, which is, for example, $100 for a doctor's visit. Then Medicare pays 80% of that, so $80. Is that the Medicare allowable rate? Or is the fee schedule the Medicare allowable rate?
Right, and that's the problem we're having because we're not getting a full answer.
Great answer on that.
Right,
They're claiming that the doctor will get paid the same rate that they get paid now. But is that the Medicare rate? Or is that the 80 plus 20%?
right.
So in Claire Levitt's testimony, in her affidavit to the city, she writes, if, however, a provider who is not in the plan network but takes Medicare declines to bill Medicare Advantage plan directly, a patient may be required to pay the doctor's fee, but Medicare Advantage Plus will reimburse 100% of the cost after the copay. The plan will make such a reimbursement within 30 days of receiving a properly completed reimbursement package from the patient. You now become the billing agent, submitting your own reimbursement. But you'd have to lay out whatever the doctor's bill was. How many people could afford to do that?
And as part of you requesting reimbursement, in essence, you're asking them to make a coverage decision.
Yes.
Remember
Better
that?
make sure
The
it was
312
medically-
pages?
Right, and it was medically necessary the treatment that you are receiving,
Right.
because that's what the MAP plan does for you.
She also writes that unless a provider is closed to new patients, in-network providers, this was in-network, but not out-of-network. Yeah, I still wouldn't feel comfortable with doing that. You'd have to stay on top of that to make sure you got reimbursed just to see that physician. How often are you going to be able to do that? And if you have to see the doctor twice a month, if you have an issue, are you going to be able to shell out a couple $100s and wait to get reimbursed? And then by sheerly, in the EOC, if I remember correctly, it stated that by submitting a reimbursement form, you're asking them to make a, what was the term? A coverage decision.
Coverage decision.
And that they could deny it, and now you're eating the bill on that. And that, of course, does not get included in the 1470.
Or 1450, right? 70 or 50?
1470 out of pocket. 1470 out of pocket maximum. That is in
Okay.
addition to your out of pocket max. Does not get included in there, is what we've been told. That was a Kim Parker statement in one of her webinars. We have that recorded. Okay.
What matters is that they accept Medicare coverage. If they accept Medicare coverage, then you'll be able to access them. Okay, if you're going to somebody in network, there
You can access them, but will
don't
they be covered?
They won't, they don't have to see you. You can access them. They don't have to see you. Same thing.
are scheduled co-payments, absolutely, no surprises there. But here's what I need you to know. Here's where things get a little bit different. When we're talking about somebody that's out of network but still takes Medicare Advantage, CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, that federal institution that regulates all of Medicare, has very rigid standards when it comes to co-payments and how much somebody takes Medicare could actually charge a patient. So when I tell you it doesn't matter, it actually doesn't, because you're seeing somebody or a facility that takes Medicare coverage, the co-payment should be exactly the same, thanks to it being regulated by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services.
The copay
So let's
should.
talk about cost.
What's up?
The copay should be exactly the same, not will be. There's a difference. And I'm sure teachers get that difference.
I think they do too.
Very quickly with the new plan. How much does it cost? And actually, it's the new baseline plan. That means that it's premium free each month. But as you all know, if you're a UFT retiree, you take out the optional rider for drug coverage. Now, presently, if you're in senior care, that rider costs about $150 a month. As of January 1st, the rider for the new Medicare Advantage plan, which is actually brought to you by Emblem Health, the price drops each month. It's going to $125 a month. And I'll reassure you, it's the exact same benefit you have now. Okay, so the formulary of drugs that it covers stays the same and the copayment structure stays the same.
How did they manage that?
Let's talk about different.
How they manage what?
How did they manage to provide the same service for less money? Were they overcharging all this time?
I don't know.
Okay, sorry.
I don't know. And then I did find the part on page 17 of her affidavit that talks about out-of-network providers, since we're still on that topic. If you go to an out-of-network provider, that provider will almost certainly bill the New York City Medicare Advantage Plus plan. And you will only be responsible for your deductible or copay / co-insurance for covered services. Hint, hint, copay / co-insurance, meaning you have part of that payment,
Right.
in addition to your copay. That said, in extremely rare circumstances, the provider may ask you to pay for the services directly. If that happens, your first call should be to the New York City Medicare Advantage Plus plan and gives you the phone number. Our concierge service will attempt to encourage the provider to bill the plan directly and explain the benefits of doing so. If the provider refuses to bill the plan directly, you can still see that provider, but you will have to pay the provider's bill and obtain reimbursement from the New York City Medicare Advantage Plus plan. Details on how to do this are available in the enrollment guide and can be discussed with the Alliance's helpline. But the short version is you will need to submit the related documentation, as so long as all the necessary information is included, the plan will pay you in 30 days. Which we know is a conflict because the EOC doesn't say 30 days. I think it said 60. And the EOC is the controlling document. So we know they're already lying to us in their testimony. Yeah, okay.
Differences with the new plan. And I hear a lot of these regularly. I know it's causing a lot of concern. I want to try and provide some comfort to all of you. I hear three things all of the time. I hear about prior authorization and concern with prior authorization. It's going to slow things down. And actually, you know, if you're an in-service member, we've had prior authorizations for similar procedures for several decades.
None of the people that this affects are in service. Hello? They're
And it
all
serves their
retirees.
It serves their purpose to keep comparing that plan to say, well, look, you've done this before. Dude, totally different. We're older, we have health issues, we have disabilities. It's a little different than waiting for a pre-authorization when you're in a
Yeah,
different.
it's funny, they don't compare it to traditional Medicare.
Medicare.
Medicare. Okay, good.
No,
Hmm.
At this point in time. And I can tell you, as the administrator of the UFT Welfare Fund, it's very rare each year that we get a phone call or an email requesting help with getting prior authorization approved. All right. Prior authorizations only happen for certain procedures. Prior authorization.
okay, wait a minute. I'm slacking here. Okay, certain procedures. There was what, a 2-page list that wasn't even in the enrollment guide. And the lady yesterday, Lisa Lauren, actually read that, was it Lisa, that she read the entire pre-authorization list.
It wasn't Lisa, but someone did.
So, crazy that they misrepresented all of the different procedures, like simple x-rays. An x-ray. Yeah.
Okay.
Is not required for emergency situations also. And we were told by a representative, Kim Parker, of the new plan, that actually when prior authorization is sought, less than 4% get denied. And then there absolutely is an appeals process to this. Another difference has to do with co-payment structure.
4%.
And everybody on the call is probably aware that there will be some new co-payments effective January 1st, 2022, whether you're in the new Medicare Advantage plan or you choose to stay in the plan you have currently. Now, I want to assure you about something, okay? Prior to the pandemic ever beginning, 6 months, the leaders of the MLC and the leaders of the city sat down together and agreed that as of January 1st, 2021, GHI Senior Care would have new co-payments. Now, the co-payments are minimal, okay, but there would be.
Okay, that's like a double, I'm calling like a double buzzer on that one. Can I hit that twice? Oh, it gave me a little, almost sounded like a toot. Okay, minimal, maybe to a teacher on a tier 1 or 2 salary, right? I am sorry, but to a DC 37 retiree that doesn't have that kind of a pension, a $15 copay at our age, that is criminal.
It's not just that, it's people that have been retired for so many decades whose pensions are much smaller, just because of time.
Yeah, what did we had a police officer we were talking about last week who retired in the 70s. He is almost 80 years old. His salary in the 70s, I think we figured was 20-something thousand dollars.
Not even, it didn't even break 20. I think it was 17 or 18, I think.
He took a non-service connected disability. It was a 50% disability, so 50% pension. So I think his take home was like $8,000 or $10,000
a year.
A year. And so between that and his Social Security is how he's surviving. And now this gentleman, you want to charge him, and who has a disability and he's almost 80, you want to charge this man $15 a doctor's visit if he's taking home, what, $400-something a month?
Yeah.
And still has to survive with car, home, insurance, groceries, whatever.
Minimal is a relative term.
It is.
Right.
You know, he may be talking about a tier 1, tier 2 teacher salary. I'm sorry. That's not going to cut it when you talk about the rest of society. It's just not.
New co-payments effective January 1st, 2021. Because of the pandemic, and I believe this was the right decision, but because of the pandemic, it was agreed upon to push those off until January 1st of 2022. Those never actually took effect. Those co-payments were planned for a long time before we even started talking about creating a Medicare Advantage plan. And I think they're fair and just co-payments. They're a similar co-payment structure to what our in-service members have.
Again, I don't even want to say it. Why are we comparing in-service who are people who are making money, making overtime, to people who want a fixed income? Even
Right.
the dog's getting crazy with that one.
Now let's talk about something else. Let's talk about the concern about privatization. And I get emails about this pretty regularly. You know, I don't see things being much different than how they are right now. This plan is being provided by names that we've known for many, many decades. I'm talking about Emblem Health, and I'm talking about Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Who have a 2-star rating.
Yeah. And they're like they're conglomerates. And,
I'm sorry, what
Those
does,
plans have been,
what does the CEO of Emblem make? Millions.
Millions.
It's coming somewhere.
Millions. Yeah, we can even talk about union waste and bagels and coffee and donuts and never mind.
giving various New York City health plans for many decades at this time. I don't think it's a fair criticism to say that we're going private with this new plan.
Which is very interesting because I don't think it's a fair criticism to say we're going private with this new plan. I'm sorry, I'm calling BS on this one. That's like a double, triple buzzer, because you know why? That is privatization. You just gave our insurance to a for-profit insurance company in which the proceeds in your contract are, you have a gain sharing provision to share the profits between the vendor and the other parties, which will end up being the unions because it's going into the health stabilization slush fund. This is the craziness of this. It is privatization. And I'm sorry, in 3 separate places on the UFT website, which we have downloaded, it actually says that they spoke out against, they denounced privatization of the Medicare Advantage plan. DC 37, Lillian Roberts. I mean, how many times did she go on the record and say we should not be privatizing Medicare? It's an abomination of union responsibility that they have decided to do this after decades of speaking out about just this. They
Well,
drank
but that explains it. They don't look at it as privatization.
No, it's gaslighting again. It's not what you think it is. No, it's not privatization. No, right.
because the money's going in my pocket. So no, that's not what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, they don't want to look at it that way.
Right, because I want to be whole. I want to be whole.
This
That's
is
not what it
fun.
is.
This is something I'm very proud about. Let's talk about some plan enhancements, actually.
Here we go.
You know, the one that really sticks out
lay
in
it
my
on us.
mind is every year I have somebody reach out to me with an unexpected medical cost, came out of the blue, a major medical condition, and there are costs associated with it. You know, fact of the matter is it could be very catastrophic. One of the wonderful things that this new plan brings is it brings a protective annual out-of-pocket expense of $1,470 each year.
Unless your co-insurances are not covered within that 1470, like we've been saying, as we've been told. We have been told several times by the 833 hotline that those co-insurances that we have to pay are not included in there.
And if they were instituting copays on senior care, there wouldn't be a question about whether or not there's a maximum out of pocket. Go ahead.
Nothing like this exists for the current plans. This could really protect somebody financially. Something else that I want to share is when I dissect the plan and I look at it, you know, when I retire, I hope to travel. I hope to get out of the country. And something that this new plan has is it has a worldwide foreign travel emergency coverage provision.
Okay, it does allow you to see a physician in an emergency in another country, but even Kim Parker said, do not, right?
Yes.
She said, when you do travel, make sure you take travel insurance. Do not rely upon this.
This is part of the fluff. It's part of the fluff.
Fluff, I know, it's fluff. It gets better.
This doesn't exist in senior care or HIP VIP right now. I think this is a very good benefit. Finally, there are a plethora of new health and wellness programs.
That's a
I
big
would
word,
encourage everybody
plethora.
to go to the UFT and the OLR website. Please take a look at them. There are programs such as meal delivery, fitness programs such as Silver Sneakers, transportation to and from medical visits. You can get a fitness tracker device.
Okay. Yes, those are the fluff that they build in, but let us explain those to you. So, Silver Sneakers.
You know what? I'm sorry. Don't even waste your breath explaining them because it's not worth it. Can we
No,
just-
no, she has to. She has
I have
to.
to. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Because I bet you he hasn't made those phone calls. Michelle did. I did. We called the list. We went on there to look at the list of facilities that were supposed to be accepting Silver Sneakers with it. They're not accepting it. Maybe some do. The ones we called do not, right? And then Silver Sneakers, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Do you really want to go into a gym? I don't really want to be near anybody else's cooties. I'm sorry. Transportation to and from medical visits. So that's another thing. It is 12 round trip visits within 30 miles of you. I'm in a very rural area. So that may not actually happen for me to see my physicians. And people who live outside of metropolitan areas may have somewhat of a struggle with that if some of their physicians are outside. Even in New York, if you are in Long Island and want to travel to Manhattan, that's not happening either. And you can get a fitness tracker device. I don't know anybody that uses that with our technology today.
Right, but it's not even that. You ready for this? When they talk about that Fitbit, because I was explaining this to Madeline, okay, with the Fitbit, okay, you need a computer, okay, and it comes with a dongle. Now, people who don't understand what a dongle is, okay, a dongle is a little thing, and it plugs into the USB port into the side of your computer. Now, for people who have a Mac like I do, okay, and have a new Mac, okay, there is no USB port. So I do have an old Fitbit, but I have a Galaxy Watch, so I don't need any of that nonsense. But
So what you're saying is that the Fitbit is not compatible with
my Mac,
new
correct.
Mac because you don't have a dongle for it.
Correct. So, okay, right. So I would have to buy an adapter, which I actually do have because to plug my little light thingy for my thing, to plug a USB port in. Right. So you expect somebody of age who has no clue how to use a computer, period, to plug a dongle in and set up a Fitbit.
It's
to
not
have
a
it
benefit for everybody. It's just not. And while we're, go ahead.
It's craziness. This is not a benefit
No, it's
a perk.
It may be a benefit for a minority of people, for very few people, but even the transportation, as when we spoke with you, because your brother was using those. So the transportation visits have to be called 2 hours in advance. The problem with people even using those services 2 days in advance.
Yeah.
The problem with people using Access to Ride are complaining that they'll come and pick you up. Sometimes they're an hour late. Now you're an hour late to your physician. Will they even see you? Then is getting the return visit. You could wait for hours for them to come back and pick you up. To me, that's not a benefit.
Right.
So, then you're shelling out for a cab to get home. So you're not sitting in the doctor's office for 3 hours. And then you have to do more paperwork to get that reimbursed. That to me is more frustration than it is a benefit. And I don't first look at that as a benefit. The other things that they add in there were meals and healthy pantry, right? In order to get those, you had to be discharged from a hospital. So it had to be a qualifying situation. You had to have a certain body weight and a certain A1C, or you didn't qualify for those. And that may not include most of us.
Right. Yeah, the A1C I think was above 9. Above 9.
So these are not situations that I think that most people would find as a benefit. But they declare them that they are, because they don't tell you the small print. So that's why it gets us angry about this, because they tout it as a benefit when it's really not a benefit.
I'm sorry, the word here is enhancement.
Oh,
It's
and-
an enhancement. That's what it says, enhancement.
hmm.
Can we move
There's a
on?
new program, I
You're
think
starting to lose me.
Okay, I'm
it's
hurrying.
fantastic. There's a 24/7 nurse line that you
Fantastic.
can call at any point in time should you need medical guidance. And finally, the last thing that I would mention here, which I think is very big, I think we've all seen the value during the pandemic of telemedicine. GHI Senior Care, of course, it's a great plan, but one of the deficiencies that it has is that it didn't have a formalized telemedicine program.
Okay. Your GHI is your secondary. Medicare is your primary. And I believe just about every doctor in the world was doing telemedicine through your primary insurance. It
Yes,
doesn't
they-
matter that your GHI didn't offer telemedicine, Medicare did.
Right. And majority people are old school and they're going to use the call-in service. Okay, so, you know, and the
so here-
service, I looked up that service, it got 2 stars and all there are complaints that
Yeah.
that service sucks.
Great.
Finally, this new plan will have a formalized telemedicine program where you can actually use an app. You can schedule an appointment.
We
You can
could do
speak with
that
your doctor,
now.
video conference with your doctor. It's the cutting edge technology, and I think that's very important. Now, I'd like to talk about going forward a little bit, and I know everybody has a really strong decision to make. Ultimately, you have to look at everything that's provided to you. You have to make a decision that you feel looks out best for yourself. So with this slide, okay, you've looked at the Medicare Advantage plan. You're not so sure about it. You want to stay in the plan you have now, and you absolutely can. For most plans, including GHI Senior Care, you're going to have to opt out of the Medicare Advantage plan. You'll have an ancillary monthly cost, but you could continue with the program that you have now.
I won't mention that it's gonna be.
Now, let's say you want to try
7 cents per person.
No,
Sam's
they,
right. Yeah. It's
out the new Medicare Advantage plan for 1 full year. And let's say for whatever reason, you're dissatisfied. When we negotiated this new plan, we made sure to include a provision that you have a right to return. So let's say as of January 1st, 2022, you go into the new Medicare Advantage plan, you're not thrilled, you want to go back to the HIP plan or the GHI Senior Care plan you have now, you can absolutely do that during open enrollment in 2022. And as of January 1st of 2023, you could return to that plan.
and that's important to note, because if you go into this plan, you are stuck in this plan for 12 months. Right now, as it stands, without any other provisions being made, if you opt into this plan, you must be in it for 12 months, period.
Finally, there might be some retirees on the call right now who are pre-Medicare. What I want you to know is if you're turning Medicare eligible effective sometime after January 1st, 2022, going forward from that date, you'll have 2 choices. You'll be able to select the new New York City Medicare Advantage Plus plan, or you can opt into GHI Senior Care. Of course, you'll have that monthly ancillary charge with it.
Ancillary, it's an ancillary charge, monthly ancillary charge.
And they've taken away all the choices.
And they took away all of our choices.
Mhm,
Good points.
mhm.
Thank you, Union.
Finally, I'm getting this question fairly frequent. So how are welfare fund benefits changing with this new plan? How is the optional rider reimbursement changing with this plan? And it's a very easy answer. They're not. Your welfare fund benefits are not changing whatsoever. Okay, they're staying the exact same. The city negotiations for a new Medicare Advantage plan has nothing to do with your welfare fund plans. I can reassure you that the welfare fund is in a very good place. Your benefits are not changing.
Hmm.
So that was my presentation. If I gave you a little peace of mind, then I did my job well. Thank you for having me here tonight. Please stay safe. Take care.
Bye.
Meh.
Thank you, Jeff.
All the adverbs.
I just wanted to remind everybody that if you have questions, as I said at the beginning, with 2,900 people on, and I see that we've maintained that number. You can send them to our email site at retirees@uft.org, and we'll get them to the welfare fund to get answers right to you. So, Michael, Vince, closing comments, what do you think?
Well, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, he's
Vince.
got-
That's what I was
Hold
saying.
on.
Yeah, I have several comments, but first I wanted to say that the UFT RTC Standing Healthcare Committee attempted to gain and provide as much information about the new plan as possible. The rollout was uneven and had many shortcomings,
That's an
but
understatement.
over time, given the committee's promptings, as well as
The committee's promptings. No. It took our organization, New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees, to sue the pants off of the city to block this thing. It didn't take the committee's urging, because if it did, they've been silent and that was behind the scenes and they didn't say jack about it.
The same shirt he was wearing at the beginning of this video.
It was, yes, but then he had a uniform change or clothing change or something in the middle.
I thought maybe
Unless it was pre-recorded. He probably did a pre-recorded thing when he did his
that's
presentation.
I wonder if they cut and pasted it. That's why I was
Costume.
asking.
Oh,
Costume changes. Yeah, I know, it was very, I that's why I said that before. Didn't he change his shirt?
Okay,
members' own
anyway.
emails and postings. There's hardly a generic question for which an answer cannot be found. You just have to read and/or listen. So I thank the committee for the role it played in accomplishing that work. And yet the committee will continue to be a reporter about healthcare issues in the future. I hope that some of you found the PowerPoint useful. I appreciate that President Mulgrew and Welfare Fund Director Sorkin stole some of my comments, but I intend to reinforce them. First, regarding the injunction on the opt-out deadline and the implementation of the new plan. As Michael said earlier, as of this moment, there has not yet been any statement from the court as to the date when the opt-out period ends.
Amen.
At this time, the plan may yet go into effect on January 1, 2022.
May yet. It may yet.
that's the first time I'm hearing.
Right.
May yet. Because every time you call OLR
It's
833, they say
definitely,
it is definitely going into effect on January 1.
No, good
Right?
for him. Good for him. I give him credit.
I
for that.
agree. Kudos.
This is all subject to the judge's determination. So I ask all the members to check the dedicated UFT Retiree webpage or the New York City OLR website for updates frequently. Certainly, we will disseminate information as soon as it becomes available. Regarding out-of-network, Jeff Sorkin spoke to this issue. Many members are concerned regarding those doctors who are not listed as in-network. You may see any Medicare doctor willing to accept you as a patient, even if out-of-network.
Did you need me to stop? Or are you going? Yes.
No, I give this guy credit because he's sticking it to
Oh,
them.
he's doing good. He's
Yep.
Just look at the evidence of coverage document, and you will see how the doctors out-of-network will be reimbursed.
Yep.
I found no differences.
Whoa,
Maybe
whoa.
you will.
They are. There is a difference. There's definitely a difference, which is the difference between they will get paid more if they are in network than they will out of network is what they're being told, right?
Yes, I believe that's in the contract.
There's a
Okay.
benefit to being in the contract.
Correct. Right. Being in network. Right. There's right.
Think
But
about
there's
that one center that we spoke about, that they were making a deal. In
That's
network,
different. That's different.
how's it different?
Anyway, I'm not arguing this point at whatever
Okay.
time this is at night, 10:41 PM.
As a member of the plan, you can choose to receive care from out-of-network providers. Your plan will cover services from either in-network or out-of-network providers, as long as the services are covered benefits and are medically necessary. There's one misconception among some members that needs to be clarified. When it is said that you can see any doctor who accepts Medicare, that does not mean that every provider is required to accept you as a patient.
Correct.
Presently, even under our current healthcare plans and in the future, any doctor has the right to accept or reject each of us as a patient, except in an emergency, of course, for any number of reasons. Some doctors limit their practices. Some doctors have concierge practices. Some even limit the number of patients with Medicare that they accept. This is their choice. It's their business right, so to speak. A doctor who is not in network can refuse to accept you for the exact same reasons as a network doctor can. That has not changed because of the plan change. I urge you to read the evidence of coverage document regarding out-of-network providers for more details, pages 75 and after. Jeff Sorkin talked about appeals processes, which the evidence of coverage also explains. Next item. I asked my doctor is a current refrain from members. Outreach by the new plan has occurred and continues to occur to all doctors and providers who our members have used with their current Emblem and Empire networks. I like to compare their behaviors to my own experiences, getting email upon email each day. Sometimes I delete the emails, even from the president of the union, without reading them. I am sure doctors do likewise. Our members have been asking their physicians whether they're participating in the new plan. Some of their doctors have answered that they know nothing of the plan or outright state that they're not participating. However, since they may have signed previous agreements to accept the Emblem and Empire Medicare network coverages, they in fact have agreed to accept the plan.
And there it is.
They have no choice.
Yep, that's what we've been saying.
And this is why they're saying that, but the doctor's offices still do not have to accept you and do not
Because
have to accept this plan.
Wow. Okay, go ahead. That was interesting.
In most instances, the correct source to ask if your provider accepts the plan is your provider's billing office or the person who handles the insurance plans. The question that you should ask is, does Dr. X accept the Empire or Emblem Medicare network plans?
It's supposed to be, does he participate in, not just accept it?
Correct.
That's the issue
Again,
with GHIC.
Does Dr. X accept the Empire or Emblem Medicare network plans? Finally, about the copays, I think Jeff spoke to it clearly, but I just wanted to point out one example that one of my colleagues on the healthcare committee pointed out. Healthcare costs have exploded over the past several years. And for a stark example, this colleague described a recent $26,000 billing for the same colonoscopy procedure that 5 years ago had been billed for $5,000.
Now, without really knowing the details of that, I don't think he should have invoked that. Was it a simple colonoscopy or was there a problem?
No,
Did the doctor have to take multiple pathology samples? I mean, I don't even.
I would totally discount that.
Every piece of new technology, and it was interesting that Member Don Nobles of the Veterans Committee talked about prosthetics and other things that are available to veterans. Every new testing regimen or improvement in testing regimens, every new procedure learned by doctors or offered by providers, they all cost more money, lots more money. And the city's ability to underwrite those costs, despite what some of us might think or believe, is not unlimited. For which reason I say unreservedly, we are very fortunate that the MLC, of which we are members and Michael is an executive member, and the city agreed to negotiate together in the face of the exploding costs that the medical industry attempts to impose upon us. Tom, back in your hands.
So Vinny, before Michael speaks, since you don't read his emails, do volunteers have retention rights?
I'm not sure about that. You'll have to ask the president.
Okay, Michael, comments?
He definitely has retention rights. Look, I thought what Vince just did and spoke to, and what Jeff has done, and what this committee really has helped us because all the other unions are now coming to us for the communications and the information.
That's because no one's giving.
So
it
I
out.
first want to personally thank everybody on the committee. I know it has not been easy.
And they also know that they
from where we
it.
started to where we are right now, and we still got some bumps in the road, to say the least. But we are fortunate to have this agreement with the city and with the alliance at this point. I am telling you that now. We have just finished a meeting, 2 meetings with different chapters before this one, and their biggest concern right now is they know that our contract is up a year from today. And the incoming mayor is just talking about how he wants to cut 2 to 3% from every agency because the city's going to need the money. And, that's their thing right away. And the fact is that we were able to get this agreement done. We know that the benefits are there that we always wanted, plus we have enhanced them. But more importantly, we have preserved very smartly this retiree healthcare system that we have, because we don't know what's going on in the future. So I'm clear that our in-service program, healthcare program, is going to be very, very difficult with what we're facing in terms of the cost that are just skyrocketed. And I could give you more and more examples of all of these different things. And it really does get me quite upset that the federal government has really not intervened and has not stopped the hospital practices, or even now with the pharmaceutical industry and what Jeff does every day, keeping our welfare fund in good shape. It's, the pharmaceutical industry just spent close to $1 billion lobbying the federal government to not allow the massive changes that the federal government that the president had put forth in the bills, the 2 different bills that are, the infrastructure bill, but more importantly, the social bill. And we got a little bit, but but the pharmaceutical companies fought it back. So we know we're going to have a much greater, we're going to have more and more challenges on the pharmaceutical side with our welfare fund. But we try to do that smarter than everybody else. And I'm happy because it's not me doing that. It's Jeff now, and it was Artie in the past, that you were very smart about how we do all of that work. But that's really the basis for this whole issue that we're dealing with right now. It's about doing things. Change is tough, but I always say to folks, you work in New York City public schools, changes every day. And that's in our DNA. It's just, where we're at this point in time with all we've gone through, went through the pandemic, people are and have a right to be quite suspect and frustrated.
And we are.
But I am very, very confident of the strategy in terms of making sure we secured our retiree healthcare and kept all the benefits and enhanced it. But I'm also confident that as with this committee in place, when this plan gets implemented, we'll continue to make sure that everything that has been written out in that contract, and remember, we made them write out everything, that we will make sure everything is in place, especially since these are companies that we have very long relationships with and have taken care of our healthcare for quite some time. So to this chapter, I thank you all for, all that you've already done. And believe me, we are there to make sure that we are protecting your benefits and are actually being very smart and strategic to make sure that they stay in place and that we can all aspire to be in that plan one day.
He's
Well, thank you,
saying
Michael, and thank
something
you.
without saying it, and I can't figure out what it is.
What do you mean?
I don't know. There's like an underlying message, a subliminal message he's trying to get across, and I can't figure out what it is.
I'm waiting for like the like just
I
slow
know.
the video down and you'll just see it,
Yeah.
I don't know. So that was the video. I was not happy with hearing that. And after hearing it, I understand why the retired teachers, the messages we've been getting from the retired teachers after hearing that. Many people said that we get a lot of messages that said that many people that listened to that, they left the meeting that they were disgusted with hearing what they did. And then others were just like, you know what, I'm done. I'm leaving the city insurance altogether. And those are the emails today that made me want to do this and call the both of you and say, we need to do something, because this is the video that got them so freaked out that they were looking to leave city insurance. And I just said to Michelle before you came on, I said, they cannot do this. I need them to wait and to be patient and wait to at least to hear what the judge says next week or where this is going. We don't know what's going to happen. And I don't want them to risk, losing Medicare B. They want me to tell them, they asking, will I be able to come back? I can't even answer these questions because you just don't know what they're going to do. We're not getting straight answers with the questions we have now.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, thanks for doing that. Thanks for doing this.
Okay.
I had fun.
I had fun too.
I had no props. Okay. I had no buzzer. I had no
Well,
sign.
the you should have came up with your own idea.
I had nothing. I didn't even know what the hell you guys were talking about. You planned this before I got on the phone because I was talking to a member.
Dogs. Okay, we'll give her the buzzer next time.
Good night.
I'll send you a buzzer. Okay, so we're going to end this. So the short messages for all of you watching this, especially you teachers that have been emailing me today, please do not opt out of city insurance yet. Please wait. Don't do anything until the judge comes back with the decision. The city is supposed to submit their documents tomorrow, Friday. Our response, our answer, our legal team is submitting their documents the same time, okay? The judge will probably need a few days, so I'm assuming by Wednesday we should know something, because he did make a decision pretty quick the last time. So like the very next day. So I'm assuming, I don't think he'll make a decision by Saturday, but I would bet you by Monday or Tuesday, we should have something. So please do not do anything. Do not disenroll yourself and your family out of the city insurance. At a minimum, you're going to lose your Medicare B reimbursement. And I don't know what else will happen if you do that. So please just wait. But I hope you kind of enjoyed us, poking a little bit of fun at the unions that are spreading some misinformation and blaming us for doing it. And that's not what we're doing. And realizing some of the struggles that we have, because we have the same struggles you do, trying to get straight answers. Because me, Madeline, Michelle send OLR and 833, we call 833 and we record all of those calls, and we email OLR almost every day. And we can email them the same question 14 times and get 14 different answers. So we know what you're going through because we have the same struggle. We'll take your questions and ask them for you, and we have the same issue. We'll even call. We did this every night for like an hour in the afternoon and an hour in the evening. But Malin was going to shoot me. And we would record them just like this, and we would ask the questions, and then the answers that we would get are bizarre. I mean, one lady even told us, I said she answered the phone and she said she was Empire or Anthem. And we were like, Anthem, aren't you the Alliance? And she goes, no, you're the Alliance. And I was like, I'm the Alliance. No, I said, you're the Alliance. And she says, no, the retirees are the alliance. We were hysterical laughing. We were like, what the hell? Yeah, they don't even know who the hell they are. So be patient. We hear you, we feel you. Yeah. So I hope this made you laugh, because sure as hell made me laugh. Have a good night, y'all. Have a good night, y'all. I love you.